I am not Ralph Said. I have managed to kick you off the screens for today, and it's me, Veronique. I am excited about talking to you about a topic that is very dear to me and very important. And it's about what do I want my child to know about money, or what do you want your children to know about money? Because I don't know about you, but I find it very interesting that school never teaches about money. That with schools, you never learn, well, I know I never did, learn how to manage your money. And that's to me is something that is quite precious and quite important. So let's start with this. What do you want your children to know about money? Here's the first thing that I think is really important is what to think about money. A lot of us think we get told, did you ever hear this sentence, which I think is quite strange, that says money is the root of all evil? I've heard it many, many times before I actually figured out that no, it wasn't money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. But the truth is, money itself, it's not good, it's not bad, it's not evil. It's just an energy, right? Money is only a form of energy. And yes, it is a form of energy that you can use to pay for things or to invest, but it's nothing else than a form of energy. Nothing else. That's all. Sorry, I'm just trying to. There we go. So this is the first thing what we need to think about. What do we think about money? And it's very important in my mind that we actually ask ourselves what we think about money because you know what? Children will learn what we do and what we say, not what we tell them to do. I know my son's like that. He's like, well, you're saying it or you're doing it. Why can't I? And this is an important part, right? We want to teach a good money mindset to our children, but it starts with us. We're the first person that we need to work on before we even give this idea to our kids. So let's talk about the next one. How do we make money? Well, there's all sorts of ideas, right? We get taught um, that we need to get a job, right? You go to school, you get good grades, and you get a job, and then that's how you make money. But there are many other ways for us to make money. It could be out of a job, or it could be out of a business. It is possible that you could be making money out of having or building a business. Are you working in a job where you exchange time for money? Or would you like time to make you money? Your time, other people's time. Would you like your money to make you money? And this is the difference when people learn about those things, those tricks about money, well, tricks is not the right word, but learn how to use money. All money is a tool. And that's it. All money is a tool that will help you move forward. Nothing else. No challenge with that. That's just all it is, right? And so if you start thinking about what systems do I have in place that make me money, this is when we start having a bit more information about how to make the money. This is how we have more information about what money means to us. All right. So, next, and that's a really important one. I'm always surprised when I see school and what school teaches us that we never get told how to manage our money. So I want to give you a few things that I call budgeting 101. It's very simple, and I have to give credit to who it's due. It's T. Harv Eker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, or Millionaire Mind Intensive course. Important to know about it because I strongly suggest that you not only read it, but you teach it to your children. Whenever we make money, there's a certain way that we can uh, ventilate that money. He calls it the six jars. It could be six accounts. But I want to talk to you about those accounts so you understand how to manage that money, right? And the first jar, as you could see, is necessities. Necessities is everything we need to live, daily life. Pay the rent, get a roof over your head, pay the food, utilities, daily daily little things, nothing fancy, but daily life. That's necessities. And the amounts may change depending on how much you earn on a monthly basis and also how many people you're spending for instance. But in general, this is the guideline. 50% of what you earn every month should go into necessities. All right. Oh, by the way, taxation, it's a necessity. You cannot avoid it. So you might want to add your tax number in that number as well, in those 50%. Right? So that's your first jar. Your second jar, and that's a very, very important one, it's one that's often neglected, is your financial freedom account. Now, what do we mean by financial freedom? Well, many people have different way of putting it, right? But basically, financial freedom means that this account, when this account generates enough money to replace what you need monthly to pay for everything that you need on a monthly basis, you are considered financially free. That is your financial freedom account. That account, you put money in every month, you invest that money. You should never take it out. It should keep growing and growing and growing. So when we start teaching our children about the financial freedom account, this is when it's really important to explain to them that this money does not get touched. This is money that stays in forever, even if they live to 120. This is what is going to help them earn enough money to do what they want, to be free financially. So that's your second jar. Your third jar is long term savings. Now, what does that mean? Hold on a second. Isn't the financial freedom account the same thing as long term savings? Well, no. Long term savings will be spent. It is for everything that you want to buy that you cannot buy with your necessity jar. That may take more than 1 month or even a year to pay for. An example of that would be if you want to buy a car. You're not going to be able to buy the car, probably, buy the car out of your necessity money. And you might have to save for a few months or a couple of years before you can buy the car. But you may say, well, I can buy the car. I can go to the car dealer and I can take a loan. Let's shelve that for the moment because you may we may want to discuss that later. If you want to buy the Maserati or the Ferrari, definitely long-term savings, right? Or even the really mega big screen television, who is much bigger than my screen, and that you will have to pay for a few months or even a year, right? All this goes into your long-term savings. 10% is the recommended amount. Next, education. A lot of people, children the same, right? They think, okay, I'll finish school and then I'm going to go to university and then my education will be done. I'll be earning money, I'll be working. That is true. And at the same time, if you keep educating yourself, you keep learning, is it possible that the job that we, you and I, all the people, parents, is it possible that it's changed since we started working? Is it possible that more education actually helped us have this evolution with our job? Did some of you completely change jobs? I know I did, and then I changed back, and then I went back and forth, and now I'm combining both of them because I used to be a fund manager. My specialty was investing in stocks, growth stocks ex Japan. That was it. But then I kept learning and I kept learning new things. I kept learning about investing in property, for instance. I have been learning about investing in gold. I've been learning about investing in bonds. All the time, I keep learning new things. Cryptocurrency, okay, I'm learning. Doesn't mean I have to invest in them, but I am learning. I'm staying educated. I also spent money and I keep spending money on my mindset, on how I can grow myself as a person. This is how I ended up doing a lot of programs with Tony Robbins, with T. Harv. We mentioned him before because he's the one that talks about the 6 jars, or with other famous speakers. I keep learning all the time. So your education jar should be 10%. Are you going to spend that money every month? Probably not. But as you grow it, then you can go into a program that would be of interest to you. So, very important. Make sure you save money, you have money for education. The fifth jar is the fun jar. It's the play jar. It's play money. In this specific example, we say 10%. I want to give you a very important distinction that T. Harv actually told us about the play jar. Are you ready for it? Are you ready? All right. The play jar needs to be spent every month. Don't keep it running. Spend the money. Now, you may be in a situation where there isn't that much money for play. It does happen, right? These days, financially, some people are not as well off as they used to be. So you might think, no, 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 no. What are you talking about? No play jar. We're just saving. Or no play jar. I'm having enough trouble paying for everything else. Here's another distinction. Even if the play jar is only 1%, every human being, we need a little bit of play, right? It could be that you save only $1 or maybe five. And at the end of the month, you need to spend those fives. It can be that you just go and buy a Starbucks coffee when normally you just bring your cup everywhere. You need to give yourself the gift of a little bit of play money or a movie ticket or whatever it is that will make you smile. But every month, you need to spend it. Harv always talks about one of his friends that was in dire financial situation. That happens, right? And she's like, no, 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 I cannot spend anything in the play jar. I have no money. And he said to her, even if it's $1, you need to treat yourself to a little something. And she said later that it made a world of difference. Because think about it, when we go into the big austerity measures, right, and we spend no money at all for several months, then something comes along that is too tempting. What do we do with it? We blow the money. But it wasn't in the budget. Then we make ourselves feel guilty. And then we are missing other things, right? Because it was not in the budget. It's better having a little bit in the budget for play, even if it's just 1%. And last but not least, the sixth jar is your give jar. It is important to be giving. There's a lot of theory about that, but I truly believe that we create abundance by giving some abundance. There is always somebody that is less well off than we are. If we have a roof over our head, if we have food on the table, we are already well off. A lot of religion talks about that, right? It's called tithing. Make sure that every month you put money in the give jar. It can be $1 that you give to someone in the street, or it can be a meal that you buy for someone. I am very blessed because I get to live in Bali. But living in Bali at the moment, I also see how difficult it is for some people that were relying on tourism. And of course, like everywhere else, we can't travel and there's no tourism. Every month, I give some money to a number of people. There is a lady just next door here that really needs it. Her son is very sick, so I make sure that I send some money over. Right? That's part of my gift jar. Other time, if you think, well, I really only have $1, fine. Think about it in terms of time. Maybe you can give a little bit of your time as well. And that is very important to teach our children to be generous. That just holding on to money like this actually does not make it something that will contribute to their life. So, budgeting 101, 6 jars. Next, very important in your budgeting 101, you need to have your children understand can you show them a little bit bigger for the moment? Sorry, I'm just talking too fast. Thank you, Farhana. You need to understand the difference between assets and liabilities. So some of us say, well, I'm not a company. I don't need to know the difference between an asset and liability. The truth is, we all do, and children certainly do. And the simplest explanation that I have ever heard, and the best one from my limited experience, is by Robert Kiyosaki. And he just says this: assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. So let me give you a very simple example. Everybody says your house is an asset. If you borrowed money for your house and you're paying every month, it might not be an asset according to this. But if you are paying money, you're paying the mortgage every month, and you receive more rent for renting out the house, it becomes an asset because you have a positive difference. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So really think about it this way. The asset puts money in my pocket. The liability takes money out of my pocket. So a great car, such as a Ferrari or even a Tesla, well, it might still be a liability. Something to think about. Here's one of the bigger things that I want to talk about: credit card versus debit cards. When our children go to university, very often they will get bombarded with offers for credit cards. And the first reaction, a lot of the children that did not learn anything about money from their parents, is free money. And the truth is, it is not free money in any way, shape, or form. Credit is never free money unless you use it very intelligently and you pay your credit card every month. You do not leave any amount left on the credit card that will start generating fees, because credit card interests are very, very high. Here's another thing that I hear a lot. Well, I have credit card debts, but I really want to start investing, so I will start investing first. Unless those investments can generate a much higher return than your credit card debts, fees that you're paying, the answer is no. Pay the credit cards first. There are ways to do that. There are teachers that can teach you how to pay the credit cards, but it's very, very important that we teach our children that it is not free money and that the interest rates on credit cards are some of the highest that they could pay. On the other hand, is it useful to have a credit card or a debit card? Yes. Debit cards can be very useful because it's basically electronic cash. With a debit card, you could teach your children how to use a debit card and in a way that will teach them exactly how much money they can spend. So they will learn budgeting. So debit cards, I'm all for. Credit cards, very wisely. And it's very important for you too. Next, lifestyle costs. There is a very big difference between paying for your living, for your life cost, your necessities, and your lifestyle. This is what I was talking about the car, right? Do you need a car? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Do I need a car in Bali? When it rains, I think I do. The rest of the time, I think, you know what? The bike works just fine and I can go faster and safely. So, thinking about what is a lifestyle choice as opposed to what is necessary and a necessity for my life. A really, really big house, maybe a lifestyle choice. Just think about it. So, it goes down to also our spending habits. Looking at our spending habits, keeping track of our spending habits, very important. Keeping track of what we spend for what. If I go to Starbucks every day and I buy a coffee every day or two, how much does it add to? Some people say, oh, the latte factor, that's ridiculous. I can never save enough money for, whatever I want to buy by saving a latte every day. That is true as well. However, the latte is only a hint. It's only a clue of where I am spending my money. Am I going for gratification right away, or am I able to delay gratification? I have a great story about delayed gratification, and it's about my son. My son is nearly 16. A year and a half ago, he declared, I want a Nintendo Switch. Some of you that have children may know of this. This is a console for playing, right? And a Nintendo Switch costs 300 US dollars. And I say, well, it's a really good goal, and I'm not going to pay for it. So he worked and scrimped and saved money and made money to the point where about 6 months ago, he had enough money saved to buy the Nintendo Switch and the game he wanted, which I was very happy to get for him. But he values that Switch so much more that if when he said, I want a Switch, I'd say, here you go, darling, there's your Switch. It's not a necessity. He wanted it, he saved for it. And he practiced delayed gratification. So now he really enjoys the time he has for this. So it's an important idea for children that it doesn't happen automatically. Because the truth is, are we doing this for ourselves? Of course, if we're teaching our children about delayed gratification, but the minute we see something, we buy it on credit, they'll do what we do, not what we say to them. So, something to think about. Another thing, how to save money. Well, here's the first thing. If you decide that you're going to put 10% in your financial freedom, 10% in your long-term saving, do it first. Pay yourself first. When you receive your money at the end of the month, you know, okay, I'm saving 10%, put it away. Don't even see it. Right? It's really, really important to pay yourself first, because otherwise, here's what we do. We pay for rent, we pay for electrics, we pay for the mortgage if we have a house, we pay for the food. And then we think, oh, there's money left. Let me buy a meal. Let me go to the restaurant and eat. right? And eventually, there is no money left to go in our spending account. Very important, pay yourself first. Second one, plan for taxes. I don't know how it works in your country, but I know when I started work in France, it's not like that anymore. They just changed it. But basically, you would work for a full year, do your all your tax returns and everything, and about 6 months later, you would get your tax bill, which was due pretty much immediately for the whole tax bill. That is scary. So teach your children right away that, you know what, whatever money you earn, you will have to pay taxes on it. And this is how you what you need to do. Save it, put it on a separate account. Teach them right away to plan for it. And the money that you set aside for taxes is not for a rainy day. It is just saved for taxes. Because no one is going to go after your money more strenuously than the taste. Thank you, Ralph. You pay your wife first because she's the one that takes care of all the expenses. So that's your next thing. When you save, is this money earning you anything? The bank these days does not necessarily pay you a lot. So you need to think about it in terms of how do you save? How is it earning you money? And you might want to have a certain spread, right? Not everything in the same basket. That's the safe way to do. But that's a whole new lesson that we'll talk about later. All right, so these are some of the things that we want our children to know about. Next, when you invest, assets or liability. We talked about that earlier, right? An asset makes me money. Is our home an asset? Not always. It can be a liability. This is what I discovered when I was in Hong Kong. I wanted to buy a home. But the truth was, it was so much more expensive to pay the mortgage than it was to pay the rent that it ended up being a liability. So I actually did not invest in the place I was living in. Learn about asset classes. This is a really good place to spend your education money. Take classes, learn about how you're going to invest your assets, what financial instruments. Not just listening to the guy at the bank that says, well, you need to have a mutual fund or you need to buy an ETF or anything like that. Learn about them first. So, as I said before, I was an investor in stocks, right? And that's pretty much all I knew about. So I had to educate myself in other ways to invest in. There's stocks, there's bonds, there's options. I don't recommend anybody invest in options actually unless you really know what you're doing. It's not an easy market. And then there's physical assets, gold, for instance, gold, silver, platinum. I mean, should you hold gold? And the other physical assets that we have to learn about is property in your country or property abroad. That's one of the reasons why at Noble Sky we help people invest in properties in the US, right? Because we understand how to do it and how to make better returns than if we were invested in a bank account, for instance. So, important to educate yourself and learn about the different asset classes. One more thing that is really important, learn about compounding. So I'm going to give you a very simple example for compounding. I have $1,000, which I am saving. It's making me, and for the sake of the exercise, please don't take it as a promise or anything like that. It's making me 10% per annum. So every year, my $1,000 earns $100. So I have two options there. I could say, okay, I'm going to take out that $100 every month, every year, sorry, and I'm going to spend it. It's a possibility. So that means every year I receive $100 and that's it. Or I could say, I'm going to leave that $100 along with 1,000 And next year, it's going to make me 10%. So next year, I will really receive $110, which I will reinvest, and it's going to make me another 10%. The following year, I will receive $121, which I will reinvest. So, as a better illustration, here's $1 million question, literally. Would you take $1 million, or would you take one penny or 1 cent that doubles every day for 30 days? Anybody will tell me? What would you like to take? $1 million paid right now, or 1 cent doubled every day for 30 days? 30 days is only a month, guys. Nobody answering? All right. So the answer is me. I would take the penny and double it every day, because at the end of the 30 days, I will have over $5 million. Yeah, over $5 million. Farhana, can you forward, please? Thank you. 5,368,709. That's a nice amount of money, isn't it? But that's just by keeping that one penny that you double every day for 30 days. That, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that is the power of compounding. All right, last set of information that I'd like to give you. The first one is teach your children how to track their money. Track your money. You could either track it with an app. Of course, that's kind of more fashionable. I'm more like old fashioned. Paper will do the trick, paper and pen. Track your money. It is really important, especially if you get to the end of the month and it's like, where did my money go? Right? Or as the expression says, there is more month at the end of my money. That's also one. Track your money. Make sure you keep track at least for 6 months. See where your money goes. I would recommend keep doing it. Keep doing it. Tracking your money also means know what is in your bank account, know what is in your debit card, know how much you owe to your credit card company or credit cards, plural. Always keep track of it. All right? Track your money. Next, staying on track with keeping track of your money. Yes. Also stay on track with it. If you said at the beginning of the year that you were aiming to save this much money, keep track of it. This is what's in my saving account. Every month I need to save this much. And do not change your plan unless there's a substantial change of circumstances. Be patient. Actually, that goes with focus as well. There is no get rich quick way. In fact, what we help people do with investing in property in the US, that is a get rich slow way, but it's also a get rich safe way. Because one of the things that is really, really important is 90% of all millionaires are made through investing in real estate. That's a very large number. Important thing I want my child to know, that he, mine is a boy, is not entitled to anything. You know, a lot of children think, oh, okay, my mom's wealthy, so, or my dad's wealthy, my parents are wealthy, so I can be wealthy. This is a recipe for disaster. In fact, the wealthiest men in the world, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, have all both said, and actually a lot more others, have all said that they would not leave all their money to their children. Warren Buffett said something which I thought was really wise and interesting. He said, I want my children to have enough money that they can do anything, but not too much money that they could do nothing. So making sure that our children have enough money to do anything they want in life in terms of learning new skills, to have options, but not the option to do nothing. And I thought that was like, I'm borrowing this because that's what I want for my son. And last but not least, teach your children, as I'm teaching mine, to be focused, keeping in the mind the goal in mind. Follow one course until successful. So these are some of the things that I want my child to know about money. And as I said before, this is a topic that I'm very passionate about, so I could be talking about it for a long time. But I've already exceeded my allotted time. Thank you, Ralph, for giving me the mic and for letting me take over. So I am going to wish you all a very, very good evening. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or to anybody in our team. If you have any comments, feel free to add comments and we will respond to you. I wish you a very good night and I wish your children a lot of wealth and a lot of knowledge on how to build their wealth. And last but not least, you and your children are most welcome to join us on Thursday night for our US Real Estate Secret webinar. It's at 8 p.m. Singapore time, 7 p.m. Jakarta time, and we'll even have translation in Bahasa Indonesia. So do join in, send us a message, and we will add you into the webinar. Good night, and stay well, stay safe, stay healthy.